good win. Before anything, I want to we've heard that the young man that was hurt early is doing okay. And then I also want to explain the end of the game and why we ran the football instead of taking a knee and then called timeout and run it again. As you all know, today was our kind of crucial catch, cancer awareness game. And we have a young man on our team named Soren Reef who ran the ball the last 2 times, who lost his mother in November. And so we just wanted to give him an opportunity to honor her by living out part of his dream, which was to play at UConn and get him carries. And so there was no disrespect intended to FIU, and I think probably me calling that timeout is what kind of started that little hubbub at midfield. And I told their coach that there was no disrespect, and he understood. So, but it was a good win for us. It was as complete a game as we played so far. Was not satisfied at halftime with the way we were running the ball. We seemed to get that corrected to a certain extent, but we still got a lot of work to do there. I thought Joe was clean. Not happy with our protection. It's unlike us. We've given up 4 sacks on the year. We gave up 3 tonight, so we've got to take a look at that and get that corrected. But we're 4-2 going into the bye, and now we can reset and we can get some guys healthy and get a little extra work on Boston College and try to finish this thing out strong.
Just talk about the way your defense played. It seems like they continue to make strides right now and maybe played their best game today.
I think they definitely played their best game, full game. Played pretty well at Syracuse until that 4th quarter, so I guess I have to kind of go back and look and see. But they played with more energy, emotion, passion, and more importantly than all that, effort. And that's something that we stress always. But this week we put a little bit more emphasis on it than really we ever have. And it's always one of our lead, points of emphasis. But they embraced it, the challenge that we put towards them as coaches. And I expected them to do that. And now they've got to keep doing it. Like, it can't just be, you can't be a one-time deal. You can't be a one-hit wonder. So we'll just continue to emphasize that.
Joe, I know you're going to hate this question, so I apologize. But as you look back from 100 wins, what are your thoughts, what goes through your mind, particularly the last 22?
Let's talk about the past 22 in particular. So we've now won more games here than they've won since 2013. They've won 21. We won 22 in 3.5 years. And to me, it starts with certain people and their commitment to football. And the first guy is right over your left shoulder, David Benedict, Dan Toscano, Mike Burton. I'm stopped right there. I could keep going on and on and on and on and on and on. But without the support of Don, without the support of all these people, we wouldn't be making the progress that we're making. And so, appreciate that. Appreciate the commitment that people are making. I hadn't really thought about that it was 100. And you get dialed in on I just want one win. I just want one. I just want one more win. That's all I want right now. So, and I also know this, that it's also humbling because my dad, I still got like 85 to go to catch him. So that's insane to keep coaching. So.
Hey, Coach, since the Delaware loss, you guys have won 3 straight. After that game, what did you say to your team, and what did your team say to you there? What's one of the things you said, we're not going to do any more to make sure that we don't have a loss again, because you clearly have a loss since?
I don't really remember what I said. I know I didn't say we're not going to do this. I mean, we talk more in positives, but it's really interesting, when you coach football, it's like, whether you win it or you lose, you kind of treat it the same. You know what I mean? It's not about the score, it's about the process, it's about playing to your level of ability, your standard, all those things. That's how you build consistency. So I think, if I were to guess, I'd say my message is probably the same as it is every week. How do we find a way to get better and max out? How do we get closer to playing to our potential? How do we play with more consistency? What are we not doing as a staff to put our guys in position to be successful? How do we build mental toughness so we just focus on, the play that we're playing no matter what's going on around us? So I think the message for us is pretty consistent, win, lose, or, we haven't had any ties yet. So hopefully we won't. guess you don't tie in college ball. So. Sean McVay would like a tie right now.
Brian Plum, I mean, he just, again, he seems like he's more and more comfortable in this team, and, you know, a couple forced fumbles today, just talk about his play and how he's rising.
You know, he was hurt last week and he was limited, I think, 18 plays. You know, he's been playing very, very well for us consistently. He plays with a ton of energy. He is very instinctual as a linebacker. You know, his ability to read and react and see things as they're happening and then react and get where he needs to be. You know, he's one of the leading sack guys in the country, and now he's got the cause fumbles, but he's the guy we need on the field. You know, because he brings juice, he brings energy, he brings consistency, all those things. You know, he didn't play a year ago at this time. He wasn't on a football team. He wasn't playing football. You know, so I think the fact that he's gone through that has made this so much more important to him. You know, he recognized what his life is like without football, and now he's got it back, and he's going to capitalize on it.
Jim, we heard,
Sorry, Joe. No, age before beauty.
Jim, we heard Peyton Manning and Ronnie Lott both use the phrase that you do things the right way. What does that represent to you?
Well, those are two people I respect greatly, obviously. To hear them say that, like I said, use the words, it's humbling. You know, I don't know that I always do things the right way. I know my intention is to. But to hear, two guys like that say that, and Ronnie, Ronnie's been a lifelong idol of mine. I first met Ronnie Lott when I was in junior high. My dad was recruiting him, and he was at our house he was on his official visit to the University of Washington. I came home from a junior high basketball game, and Ronnie Lott was in my house. I knew who he was at that moment, and so he's been, one of my heroes. And interestingly enough, yesterday morning, I showed our team a Ronnie Lott video, and I show our team every year, and just so happened to show it yesterday because Ronnie epitomizes I think everything that's right about, or how you should do things, So to hear those people say that, I don't know, I mean, it's just, like I said, it's humbling, because I don't think they're right. I don't do everything right, but I try.
It doesn't feel like Joe just keeps getting better. I mean, this week you see throwing out runs, deep balls connecting, career high, and then UConn. What do you say about this year?
The deep ball thing's been a point of emphasis, because you guys know, you've watched our games, we haven't really connected on those things. And so those guys have put in extra work. Every Thursday they're out there throwing deep balls. Joe's got a good surrounding cast. He's got guys that he trusts. He trusts the people up front. He trusts his receivers. He's going to throw it into tight spots. He's played a lot of football, and with that comes a lot of confidence. And when you have success, that begets more success, and I think we're seeing that. And the thing about Joe is he's steady. Like, it doesn't change whether he's throwing touchdowns or he's struggling or he's getting hit. It just doesn't matter. And then I think the added thing, the last couple of weeks we've seen that's really helped is his ability to tuck it and go. And I just want to make sure he gets down. I don't like it when our quarterback is taking hits. So, but it's really fun to see him kind of take it to the next level.
Coach, last one.
Last 4 games were pretty close before this one. What do you think it does for the overall confidence to have such a complete performance like that, especially heading into the bye, knowing you can get healthy?
Well, I think, it's interesting. I think the confidence started to build in the tough win last week on the road. I felt there was a change when we were in the locker room after the game. Like, there was some confidence being built there. But confidence is a really tricky thing, and it's very, very fragile. And you have to keep earning that confidence by the way you work and the way you perform. So, yeah, it feels great, but quite frankly, it doesn't mean anything unless we keep rolling. Keep working the way we have in practice with the same intention and going out and playing well. And you can lose momentum and confidence really fast. But confidence is built in work you do. Thanks, everyone.